nausea, heartburn, indigestion, upset stomach, vomit, weak. What a disgusting week. Disgusting. Pardon my voice. Got this lingering weird cough thing going on. I've been having back spasms all day. I got a bad case of the OLD popping off. But welcome to Answers by Guest, Season 7, Week 6.5. Answers with Guests, halftime adjustment. Remember, we are Fantasy Football's inside scoop from outside the box. Week 6 was a week to forget. That is for sure. But do not forget to like and follow us on Facebook, YouTube, TikTok, Patreon, and we are now podcasting on Spotify. And I just noticed that Rob must have set this up. We're live on Twitch right now. So if you're on Twitch, hop on over. And if you comment, remember to use hashtag Answers by Guests, hashtag ABGFF, or hashtag ABG3P. That is our Saturday weekly show. Got a comment here. What's up, Craig? Welcome. This, I guess, was the week. I feel like we have one of these every season where it's absolutely putrid. I mean, there's a couple guys that went off, but very low scoring. Not good for fantasy. And Vegas, I noticed when I was sort of peeking at week 7, kind of feels like it's going to be the same sort of thing. Very low over-unders for week 7. I hope not. A lot of things to talk about. Those of you just joining us, Answers by Guests, Season 7, Week 6.5, Answers with Guests, halftime adjustments. Let's get into this. Week 6. It was just disgusting. We were 14-14 in the ABG3P. Terrible. We were inching ever closer to that 70% threshold. We were so close. Just a bad week. A couple good ones in there, a couple bad ones. And looking back at some of the advice that we gave, I mean, we were probably right around 50-50 as well. After such a good week 5, week 6 was just trash all around. Trash. There it is. That was week 6. And if you got to win, you got to win. I got a couple very important wins. Had a tough loss, losing Debo and Justin Fields. What are you going to do? A couple interesting things. I know some of you have probably seen this. It's not just Russell Wilson, but Russell Wilson outplaying Patrick Mahomes. We'll see if this continues. He had his worst week so far this season on Thursday. And my gosh, Red Cross. The injuries, they are insane coming through. Let's get into our top 10. Number 10, let's say peace. See you later. Later, alligator. That's Quentin Johnston. Those of you that watch the show know that after this, Wednesday, don't do it Thursday because I watched the Thursday game. A Friday, I rewatch the game, speed through them, do the fast replay. I'm not even going to worry about the Monday one. I was so intently watching the routes that everyone, and specifically Quentin Johnston, was running, and he was just doing cardio, just straight gunning down the field. He had one target that way, and that was the one that Herbert's arm got hit. Probably would have been, I don't even know, 50-yard touchdown if Herbert didn't get hit on that. Then he got targeted on the very last play of the game. That was that interception, but they're not looking for him. Everything's close, short, intermediate. Keenan Allen, every once in a while, Everett and Joshua Palmer. Quentin Johnston, you can go. You can go. So we had said on ABG 3P on Saturday, he was a guy coming out of the bye. You would have thought they would have looked to get him more involved. Listen, the Dallas defense, we all know, is one of the best ones, but they had literally one route until the last drive of the game for Quentin Johnston, and it was just sprint down the field. Unless he was supposed to be a decoy drawing defenses, nobody cares unless you're going to target him early in that aspect. They weren't even worried about him. Goodbye. Get him out of your team. Let's forget about him. Even if he comes back and he makes a push for it, they're not using him. There's no need to have him. Number 9, stay the course. For the most part, everybody needs help. This is usually around the point of the season where some managers, my team, they're all hurt, or I keep losing these close ones, or I keep getting blown out, or they start to lose interest, or they think they have no shot. Everybody's in the same boat, especially this year. Unless there happens to be one manager, and that manager's you, that is literally losing 80% or more of the guys that get hurt each and every week. Just stay focused. Stay focused. It's very early. And if you're sitting there at 6-0 or even 5-1, don't lose focus, because it can flip. The beginning of the season's been a tad off. Last week was ridiculous. Stay focused. Pretty please. Please, Will Grier, come on. You made him inactive. And Malik Cunningham, we talked about on Saturday. You couldn't have activated Malik Cunningham as a wide receiver and had Will Grier in the game. Cunningham barely had any sort of burn. Come on. If you're going to be taking Mac Jones out of the game, let's see what Will Grier has. Let's just see what he has. Pretty please. Mitchell might murder Mason's majority. A little alliteration for you folks. Listen, Elijah Mitchell's been out. Jordan Mason has looked better. I've been telling you for over a week now, 2 weeks almost, to pick up Jordan Mason just in case CMC gets hurt. He's might not play this week. And Jordan Mason, by the way, people are calling him JP Mason. I had no clue of that, but JP is what they're calling him. They're going to be scooping him and forgetting about Elijah Mitchell. But he was active last week, and Mason certainly looked better. But Shanahan loves Elijah Mitchell. So if you miss out on Mason and people don't scoop Mitchell, I think you'd be all right. Kyle Shanahan loves him. He's been productive when he's been the guy. Before CMC was there, and if and when CMC had to go out, it was always Mitchell. I like Mason better, but he might murder his majority. And I don't think that we'll see Jordan Mason be CMC, as in every single snap or even close to it. So Elijah Mitchell, don't like him as much, but he's a name that you must remember here. I got to say it again. Week 6 was just disgusting. And, it started off with Carolina going up 14-0. And I was like, is this that week? It was the exact thought that popped in my head. I said, is this that week? Where these teams that aren't supposed to win the games, win the games? And sure enough, Miami came back and scored like 28-35 unanswered, whatever it was. But we did have the Jets beating the Eagles. I said on the Saturday show that the Browns were my favorite to beat the Niners. I said, if Watson was playing, you can go back and watch it. I said, Watson was playing, I was going to take the Browns money line, but I didn't. But I should have. They got a little lucky, but I should have. I knew they'd give them fits. I didn't think that they could do it with Mr. Walker. But I thought that this would be the week. And it wasn't just the upsets. It was just nobody did well. Nobody did what they were supposed to do. A couple guys here and there. And there's tons of injuries all over the place. QB junkie or number 2. Last year, we said that you have to get one of these top quarterbacks because there's just so much junk, and we're just seeing more and more of it. Yeah, sure. Guys are popping off here and there. Sam Howell's looking a little better. Ritter's had 2 games in a row, but it's just not as good as it should be. It's just, if you go back 5 or 6 years, quarterback didn't matter. Like, they would score the most points, but there was 14 to 20 solid quarterbacks that you could put in. You got to have the top 5 each week. When you lose Justin Fields in 3 leagues this week, those are 3 of my 4 losses this week. It's tough. On top of that, backfields are a mess. Super annoying. This week, it's going to get even worse. The Rams, the Lions. It's just out of control. The Niners we already talked about. And Baltimore. The same exact number 3 as last week. I kept it, didn't change a thing. They make it out healthy, so we stay waiting. He was active last week, Mr. Mitchell. But we stay waiting. And number 2, sort of like I talked about in the beginning, if you're 2-4, you're in a fine spot. 1-5 is even fine. It is so early. We have 8 more weeks of fantasy football. 2-4, you can wind up 10-4. I think that you've got to you could be 7-7 and probably make the playoffs the way things are going this year. And this number 1 is a favorite of mine for obvious reasons that people have been with us for at least the past couple seasons. Stand up, old man. Take a bow. Adam Thielen, my goodness, he murdered me this week, my most important league, the league that I lost Fields and Debo in the first half. It's going against Adam Thielen. I mean, it's pretty much, when it comes down to it, the only reason I lost is because I was going against him, and I lost my quarterback and my number 1 wide receiver. But take a bow, Adam Thielen. I know that we got a question about a trade involving Adam Thielen. You know why he's killing it? I haven't recommended him once. It's a real thing. It's a real thing. Somebody asked me a question about Jacoby Myers. I said I can't recommend him because I didn't like him in the preseason. And if I recommend him, he's not going to do well. I said, so I'm not going to recommend him. He'll probably do well. He did pretty well. So Adam Thielen, if you got him, you're doing all right. 5 guys for your eyes this week. Added a little flavor to the side here. Number 5, Zach Evans with an eye roll from Miss Tina Fey. Why? Because I don't really care for him. A lot of talent coming out of college. Fell down the draft boards. Could have been a first rounder. He tumbled. But the problem is that they just signed Darrell Henderson. They're probably going to use Royce Freeman over Zach Evans a lot because he's a better pass blocker. He just has the experience. So people are going to be going after Zach Evans. And listen, he has the talent, but for whatever reason, they don't like him. They didn't let him get on the field. McVay likes Darrell Henderson. We've seen it in past seasons when it was Henderson and Akers, and he was playing Henderson. Maybe that's because he didn't like Akers, but I'm just letting you know, if you go out, you spend a lot of fab or your number 1 priority on Zach Evans, maybe you catch lightning in a bottle. Maybe you get electrocuted. So let's just be careful. And he's out there everywhere as well. That's another reason I have an eye roll. I don't like putting people's names out here that are out there everywhere, even though you sort of see one down at number 1. Number 4, Rams defense. Have been talking about them for a couple weeks. They look good again. They're at home playing against Pittsburgh. I do have kind of an early week feeling that Pittsburgh is going to be okay getting Deontay Johnson back. I think that's going to make the whole offense better. And a lot of people are sleeping on that. But the Rams defense is somebody at least have your eye on, and that's what this segment's about. Number 3, the second Sky Moore, since the first one stinks. If you look there, that's an actual screenshot I took from the player list today on Yahoo. There were 2 Sky Moores. 2 of them. and they were different. It wasn't a glitch. One of them had more ads than the other one, and one of them had more drops than the other one. So weird. Very, very weird. And I thought to myself, man, I wish that was somebody good. Could you imagine picking up the same guy if he was like a stud and just playing him in your wide receiver one and your wide receiver two, and he has a good week? You get him twice. Shame on you, Yahoo. Keep your eye on the tradables. Trade deadline is 2 weeks from today, Halloween. Donovan Peoples-Jones could get traded. Zach Moss, Mecole Hardman, Jerry Jeudy, I put in parentheses because he's not really probably somebody you're going to be able to get off the waiver wire, but you could make a trade for him. He hasn't looked good. His value is very low. Hunter Renfrow, etc. These guys all are going to be on the move more than likely. So just keep an eye out for them. And if you find an open spot, you want to pick him up, just see where he goes. I mean, Chase Claypool was traded. He's done nothing yet. It's not a guarantee. But if they go somewhere else and they've done nothing, it gives them a better shot. Number one, Devin Singletary. Houston, CJ Stroud is the real deal. And I said it before, I was wrong. I thought that he didn't look very good in the preseason, which he did not. And he's come out and he's by far the rookie of the year front runner. They're passing it all over. They're running a zone blocking scheme. You got to have some speed to get to the outside. Devin Singletary has that. Dameon Pierce doesn't. And I think you're going to start to see him sort of become more of the 1A than Dameon Pierce. I saw a lot of it. I was watching that game quite intently. I thought that the Saints were going to be able to do it. But no, it wasn't the case. Houston's for real, and I love it. I've been a closet Houston Texans fan for quite some time. So it's nice to see. I think that we're going to see a lot of, what do they call it? Bandwagon Texan people, but that's okay. Questions from the group. We only got a couple. So Michael, I don't know if you can see it, says he got a trade offer yesterday. He doesn't know what to do. Thielen has been putting up serious points, but it's Debo. So it looks like he wants to trade Adam Thielen, get Debo. Here's the thing. If I say, yeah, go ahead. I don't know. I'm not sure who you're getting. I think at this point, it's pretty obvious. We'd rather have Adam Thielen. Debo's in and out with his injuries. What's going to happen with Debo is he's going to get healthy probably after their bye, and he's going to have a couple blow-up games. And it might be late in the season, right around the time where you need him. The goal is to get there, though. So if you are, it looks like you're trading away Thielen to get Debo. If you've got enough in your wide receiver, you could do it. You're losing the trade right now. You're losing it. How long will this continue with Thielen? I don't see it slowing down, but we've seen this before in his career. Right around week 7, 8, that's when he starts to slow down. But the problem is they really don't have anybody else that's stepping up. So unless they make a trade, which they very well could, Jerry Jeudy, Thielen's going to continue to be the guy. If the rest of my wide receivers are good, I do it. But you're not going to be able to use Debo this week. And that means you're going to be taking a big hit on the points. At least Adam Thielen is on a bye. So really, it's not going to be either guy this week. So going forward, I think as the season closes down, I'd be okay with it. You go with your gut. You're losing right now, but I like Debo in the long run because he's going to have some blow-up weeks. I can hardly see this, so I'm going to click off screen and look. Mikey says, thoughts on the trade. Here's my lineup with it. I'm trying to do this thing to make it just look a little bit better. First picture, it looks like, I don't know who you're acquiring. Adam Thielen, Breece Hall, and Sutton. You're trading away Mostert and Nakua. Yeah, I think I would do it. And the reason why, the last picture, I don't know if you could see it. He's got Gabe Davis, Curtis Samuel, Um, his bench is Watson, Christian Watson, Palmer, Michael Thomas. So adding the Sutton and Thielen in there, I think that is good. You're pretty much trading Nakua to get Sutton, who's scoring a touchdown every week. And if Judy gets moved, that's good. But then if Judy gets moved to Carolina, it's bad because you got Thielen. But I would do it mostly because I like Brees Hall's prospects to stay healthy. Mostert's the number one running back in the league right now as far as fantasy is concerned. How long is it going to last? Achan's going to come back. Jeff Wilson will be back. Ahmed steals touchdowns like he did last week. I think I would do this trade so that you can get Thielen, Sutton, have a little more depth at wide receiver, and then add Brees Hall. I think, it's hard to say you'd rather have Brees Hall than Mostert because Mostert's just killing it. And I think last week, too, with Nakua was just, I think he'll be fine. I think last week was Cooper Kupp, dominating. And then Kyron Williams the second half dominating. And there was no need to really push the ball around to anybody else because they were playing Arizona. In more competitive games, you're going to see Nakua more involved. I'm fine with the trade. I don't love it. But if you like to add the wide receiver depth, that's good. You don't really need it because you got Gabe Davis, Curtis Samuel's coming on. But Gabe Davis is hit or miss. Curtis Samuel, we've seen it before. We talked about it. And, Joshua Palmer looks good to go. I'm not a fan of Michael Thomas, so sure. If you like it, I'm okay with it. And I think the last slide here, congrats to Leon. We had a contest. All you had to do was answer 3 questions. You had to answer them correctly. Let me see if I can pull up the 3 questions just so I can recite them correctly. I don't know where the heck they are. But I believe the first one was, I wrote it somewhere. I'm not sure. The first one had something to do with, the guesstimator. What did we used to call the bonus guy last season and the season before? Every once there would be a bonus guy. We would go through all the games. It was the guesstimator, correct? Second question was, what was I desperately in need of last year? That was a chair. Remember, my chair used to always sink. And the last question was, what color did the screen used to turn when we just used only Facebook Live? And it would turn purple, the whole screen, like Grimace, purple. And he knew that. 3 other people knew that. And I did Wheel of Names, 1 spin, landed on Leon. So, Leon, I'll be in contact to figure out what size shirt you want. You get a t-shirt. I got to get a t-shirt out to Craig. And then we had Chad, I believe, ordered or possibly would like to order a hoodie. So if anybody wants to order anything, we basically make no money on it. But if you want it, it's fine. I'm fine with you wearing the promotion. That's good. So let's get this off the screen. Let's get me up in this. And we got Mikey. What's up? I think he's talking about this week. Rob's giving me a piece. Sorry, my week sucked. I won my league and a very, very much needed. Yeah, despite it can happen. It can happen. Especially when it's a tight end and a wide receiver. I had that a couple times this year and won. Certainly. Without a doubt. And your team's very good. So you're scoring the most in the league, if I remember correctly. So you deserve this win. Alan, you grabbed Friday before the game. Thanks to me. You're welcome. Yeah, I mean, it was easy. I had Mason on the 5 guys for your eyes early. It was the last division we did, so it was probably in August. I said, Jordan Mason, I said, at some point, something's going to happen to CMC. He got through last year pretty much. And he's not, I don't think he's going to be terribly hurt, but Mason was coming out as a rookie last year, and I just sort of liked him. And Elijah Mitchell always gets hurt. So it was just kind of easy to see. But I do think that Elijah Mitchell will steal some of Jordan Mason's stuff. Jordan Mason is who I'd go after. I think he's a better runner. Not sure if he's quite as fast as Elijah Mitchell, but he's a better runner. pass catcher, that might be where you see Mitchell, third down. But definitely go after Mason. I'm glad you got him. I picked him up, I think. I want to say it was week 4, maybe. It was at least week 5 in the leagues that I have him in. And then we'll see if I get him on waivers in the other leagues. Don't really need him, but it's always nice to steal stuff. Giants should have had another upset. That's another thing. I mean, like the Giants beat the Bills. It was just one of those weeks. It was one of those weeks. There's one every year. You got Richardson out. Danny Dimes hurt. Yeah, they're all. I mean, they're all hurt. Trevor Lawrence is hurt. He's probably going to play Thursday. Fields, Jimmy G. It's just you go right down the line. Even Russ got banged up a little bit. So it's crazy. Only other, Ritter and Zach Wilson, and they're fine. Ritter's had 2 good games in a row, but that's what I was sort of talking about when I was doing the top 10. It's just to this point, this season's been a little wacky, but it's kind of similar to at least last year as far as most recent memory goes with quarterbacks. You have to get one of those top couple, and then even this week, the top couple didn't really even do well. I mean, look at Jalen Hurts. Brandon State's going for Royce Freeman. That's the thing. A lot of people are going to be going after Evans. Royce Freeman is going to probably be the number 2. But when they are passing, and if he gets hot, Evans is going to have to really just blow up. And that's sort of why he got the eye roll on the 5 guys for your eyes. And they signed Darrell Henderson again. So it's just going to be a headache. But Freeman isn't a bad backup or first plan. You're big blue. So I would have to look back at that. Just let me know, Mikey, was I correct about who was who in the trade? All right, I'll take a look at it. I was getting ready for the show, watching baseball game behind me. I'll take a look, Alan. All right, well, there you go, Mike. I don't even have to tell you. Mike's watching. If you guys are going to work something out, Craig doesn't want you to do it. So he wants to make you a trade, so work something out. All these RB signings are terrible. They're all terrible. I think now here's the thing. If you're watching for the first time, or you don't watch every single show every single week, which is fine, we do the 5 guys for your eyes, and we started it in July, and we said that we're never going to double up names. And there was an extra guy that Rob would give you, and it was called the Rob bonus. And one of his Rob bonus was Craig Reynolds. Craig Reynolds probably going to be the starter this week and do pretty well for Detroit. So it's Craig Reynolds, and they'll probably get Gibbs back. But like guys like Gaskin, like, come on. And then all the talk about Leonard Fournette, the Bills wanted to bring him in because, what happened to Damian Harris? And then he's like, I don't even want to go there. So he wants to go somewhere where he could play. I mean, these signings, these guys that wouldn't even be on teams. I honestly think the best one, and I'm not even a fan of his because I was hoping for Akers to do it, I think is Darrell Henderson, because he's signed for the team that he had played for and had success with. He knows the system. You're talking about the same sort of thing that we saw with Kareem Hunt. He started off really hot last game. Then Ford started going. Hunt got a little bit as well. And I think that's going to be the same sort of thing with a Darrell Henderson. So he's a name that a lot of people probably aren't even going after. I don't even know if you would have to put in a waiver claim for him. I don't love it, but the Rams need a running back, and Royce Freeman's been beating around the bush for years. Started in Denver. I feel like he's been there since 17, maybe 18 in the league. Henderson was 19 or 20, I believe. So similar in age, and then you got the rookie. I think that you're going to see all three. So I'm not going to go too overboard with any of these guys. But here's something that you need to remember this week with all these injuries. There's going to be a ton of people, a ton of players. Are they going to be superstars? Are there going to be guys that you feel good about putting in your lineup? No. But this is also by Mageddon part one for 2023. By Mageddon, we got 6 teams on bye. With all the buys and with all the injuries, we're going to just need warm bodies in our lineups. So, as bad as week 6 was, this week, this is one of the more fun weeks dealing with injuries. Type of fun I like is not this, but it's going to be fun patching your lineup together. As long as we get production, I won't have to barf as much as I did this Sunday watching the lack of scoring going on, because it just was not exciting. The games were exciting, but not scoring a ton of points. Although I will say a couple of my teams, I think in the ABG league, I might have actually had the most points, and Michael, I think, was second or real close. Some teams blew up, but overall, for the most part, not too much scoring, and all you got to do is look at the scoreboard for that. Staying the course, that's right, Keith. 2-4 in the year. Judy and Russ killed me. The only lineup in question was Jacoby versus Judy. Yeah, man. The whole Judy thing was ridiculous. It sucks that was it. You got to go with your gut. Jacoby obviously was a better play in hindsight, but Judy had everything going for him in that game. Russ just had a terrible game. He had his worst game of the year. If he had even an average game, I think that Judy would have been better, but they weren't looking his way. The offense was struggling. Casey's defense was on point. And Casey's offense wasn't really doing too much either, so that they had to really chuck the ball around. This was just a week. And gosh, we had so much hope for the Monday night game. That was a terrible game last night. Boring. Got a little excited at the end. The one lady that they keep showing was really excited at the end. But for the most part, it was just like, I was happy the week was over. Fields most likely not playing. Stroud on bye. Is Algier drop? I think, yeah. You need a quarterback, dude. So if he's the worst on your bench, I think that you can get away with it, especially if you have a bunch of other running backs. I mean, if you have 6 running backs, and he's your most droppable, you got to go ahead and do it. If he's your third or fourth and there's nothing on the waiver wire, look at the way they're dropping like flies. You might want to hold on to them and try and find somebody else. But without seeing your lineup, he's worth a drop for another QB, because you're going to need one this week for sure. And Josh Allen banged up. Yeah, he's a name I forgot. It's just tons of them. It's just ridiculous. I think I would go Freeman over Juszczyk. I mean, he's just too sporadic. They're not going to use him. They're going to use Mitchell and Mason, and they'll use him every once in a while. Might he get a touchdown? Sure. But, I mean, you're going to be looking at, like, maybe a reception or two for, at best, maybe like 12 yards and a couple yards, and hopefully he scores when he's close. I mean, I would much rather take a chance on Royce Freeman. He's been on the practice squad all year, and they call him up. He's the number 2, and he's going to be a 3-headed monster, but unless Evans kills it, then Freeman is going to be in there on passing downs, which means he's going to get the receptions just because he's a better pass blocker. I would go Carr. I think of those 3, he's fully healthy. They said he practiced in full already. So I think I would go Carr. Are those Jimmy G's in that spot? Dobbs, the slipper fell off. So I would go Carr. Yeah, Ty Johnson. I think they did pick him up, right? Somebody scooped Ty Johnson. I think it was him. But I think it's going to be Craig Reynolds, and I think Gibbs might have a shot to play. And if he doesn't, you're going to see a lot of Craig Reynolds this week. But Ty Johnson, I think he did get scooped by the Lions. Yeah, he wasn't. Um, oh, Howell. He's in a nice matchup going against the Giants, I believe, right? Washington, the Giants. Put in a claim on Carr and Howell. There's 6 teams on bye. There's a bunch of good quarterbacks on bye. There's a bunch of good quarterbacks injured. People are going after quarterbacks this week. Put in a claim for both. Aaron Jones and Judy for Rashad White, Charbonnet, and Quentin Johnson. Oh, that was a steal because Quentin Johnson, I just told you, get rid of him. I think Judy will get traded. I mentioned that. I do like Aaron. He had a bye last week, and now this week they're going against Denver, I believe. So I think Denver's going to have a nice bounce back. And I think Green Bay has been missing Aaron Jones because Jordan Love stinks. He's so inaccurate. Can't stand it. So Aaron Jones will be just fine. He should be fine. He should play this game. That was a great trade. I do like Charbonnet rest of the season, but you won this trade, especially if Judy goes somewhere else. Would I rather drop JSN instead of Algier? If your wide receivers, I think JSN's coming on. I think he's coming on, and I believe they play Arizona this week. I think he's going to beat that defense deep. I thought it was going to be this week. I think it might have been a week ahead. Happens quite often. But I like him going through the rest of the year. But it depends. If you have 5 other running backs and there's at least people with a pulse on the waiver wire, maybe Algier. But if JSN is your 6th or 7th wide receiver, then you go ahead and drop him. Personally, if anything ever happened to Bijan, Algier is going to kill it, and you'll be pissed. If anything happens to Tyler Lockett, JSN will probably do what Tyler Lockett's doing, and I think you could live with yourself. So maybe that's the drop. Roll with Baker, Stroud on bye, or should have grabbed Carr. Baker's banged up too. He's another one that's banged up coming out of that game last week. Can we hold on to Baker and grab Carr and then make our decision on Saturday night or Sunday morning? Because I think that would be a good choice. It's not coming to an end. I don't think so. He's the number 2. That was a tough matchup going against KC. Williams was back healthy. Williams throughout his career has been injured. I love the dude. Anybody that paid attention to the show the past 2 years knows how much I like Javonte Williams. But he was back healthy, and they were giving him the burn. And Jaleel was okay, but it was a tough matchup, and the coach loves him. Sean Payton loves his pet projects, just like he did with Taysom Hill. It's Jaleel McLaughlin. I don't think he's going anywhere. He's worth a hold. If you have the space, you could drop him if you need someone else. Like if you're dying for a quarterback this week and he's in the bottom of your depth chart on your bench, then you can drop him. But if you don't need anything, there's no reason to drop him. I wonder why. That's very weird. If I was a Bijan owner, I would want Algier. Maybe he doesn't want to have to drop someone. I don't know if you're trading Algier and another player for 2 guys. A lot of times I don't like taking in 2 to give away 1 because I want the best player in the deal, A, and B, now I got to drop somebody. So really I'm trading 2 for 2. I'm not really getting anything out of it. Does he have 2 quarterbacks? You need a quarterback. Does he have someone better than the guys you mentioned as a backup? Maybe you might be able to pull that from. Probably not, but I mean, it could be worth a shot. I don't know why. I feel like I would want Algier if I had Bijan. And let's see, last but not least, right now. Okay. You'd have to drop Baker for that trade. Is that what? Oh, you're talking about with this? You'd have to drop Baker for Carr. I don't know. We got to see how healthy Baker is. Let me see real quick. I'm just going to look it up for you real quick. I see a couple of comments came in. I don't know. I don't know if I want to go with Carr on a Thursday. If I have to drop Baker, you'd have to, though. You'd have to. I guess do that. I'm fine with that. Saints at home. Jaguars in a short week. They were in London. They did fine last week against Minshew. But sooner or later, all this traveling and these condensed games right here, and Lawrence banged up. Jags are looking really good right now. Saints did not look good last week, but somehow the Saints are a 1.5-point favorite. Vegas knows something. And Carr was practicing full today. I think I would drop Baker for Carr, because if you wait and let's just say something lingers or gets worse with Baker, which I don't think it will, then you're screwed. You're out of luck with Carr. So I'm fine with dropping Baker and picking up Carr. And Craig, don't you dare. Oh, actually, he wants you to hold off. He wants to trade you some, but don't you dare C block him on that one. No, I don't think so at all. It's just another signing, because Patrick Taylor sucks. I tried to explain that to everybody in the ABG chat, that he's been there for years and he's not good. And for whatever reason, they don't want to get Emmanuel Wilson going. Maybe they just don't think he's ready for it yet. So they need a little veteran leadership in there. So what better way than get James Robinson? But no, his job is not in jeopardy. He looked really good last week before the bye 2 weeks ago. And he's even better when Aaron Jones is there. And Aaron Jones is going to be there next week or this week. Dylan will be fine. His job's not in jeopardy. He looked really good last week. I think he had a touchdown. He at least had a 2-point conversion. He was running all over. I think that his job is just fine. Thank you, Mr. Craig. Dave, I would love to be on anything, doing anything other than what we do, but this is what we do for a hobby. And not bi-weekly, but twice a week show for free for people to try and help is what we do. It's all we can do. But man, if you know anybody on Sports Radio WFAN, hook us up, because that would be fun. It has to be Stroud. Yeah, I mentioned that. Alan, you've been here the whole time. Are you not listening? I mentioned that he's so far in front of everybody else, and it's not even close. It's not even close. I mean, Bijan, first couple games, but Stroud was right there with him, and it's Stroud. Even when he has a down week, he's still fine. So without a doubt, I think that that's pretty much it. So this is Answers by Guess. This is season 7 for us. Rob and I, low key, we've been talking. It's like, how long can we do this? We'll see. I would love to be sitting here 3 years from now doing season 10, having a 10-year anniversary. We'll see if we make it that far. We got to grow, though. We got to grow. So you got to share us. Somehow you got to know somebody that you don't play in a fantasy league with that is interested in fantasy or at least football and just talking sports. Share us. Get us out there. Help us out. Leon, congratulations. I don't think you're here tonight, but you won a t-shirt. Craig won a t-shirt a couple weeks ago, so we got to get pressing those. We got hoodies ordered. We will be back Saturday night with ABG3P. Rob will be here with us, but this was Halftime Adjustments, Answers with Guests, week 6.5, eyes on week 7. Please no more vomit football, because week 6 was putrid. Even if you won, you have to admit it was gross. So we'll see you Saturday, and hopefully it's a better one. Craig, love you. You're welcome. And thank you as well, Mikey. Have a great night, everybody. enjoyed the Thursday night game.